Imagine staring down the impossible, pitching to investors who seem to hold the fate of your dream in their hands, feeling like every no chips away at your confidence until there's barely anything left. That panic rising in your chest isn't just nerves. It's the battlefield of your future, the war between hope and doubt, where every word you say could either build a bridge or burn it to ashes. This isn't just fundraising. It's raw, brutal human psychology at play. A game where one misstep can freeze your vision, while the right move can ignite a wildfire. Now ask yourself, what if fundraising isn't just about numbers or fancy presentations? What if it's an experiment in understanding minds, investors' minds, your team's minds, your own mind? What if, in every interaction, every pitch, every handshake, you could become the scientist who controls the variables? Because let's be honest, this process can break the best of us. The harsh truth is that it's designed to filter the fearful, the unsure, the unprepared. It strips you down to your core, exposing your vulnerabilities in front of strangers who hold your dreams hostage behind sliding glass walls. But here's the secret many don't see. The world's top founders, the ones soaking in millions and changing industries, they don't just ask for money. They conduct experiments on emotions, on perceptions, on trust itself. They know how to use psychology as a weapon, turning cold numbers into warm human conviction. The question isn't whether fundraising can be treated like a psychological experiment. It has to be, because that's exactly what it is. When you step into a pitch room, you're entering a lab where every gesture is data, every pause a hypothesis, every reaction a signal begging to be decoded. Investors don't just listen to your facts. They read your energy, sift through the cracks in your story, gauge your resilience under pressure. The pressure you feel? That's the invisible force of scrutiny. It's relentless, unforgiving, and designed to weed out the weak. But here's what's rarely said. You can turn this force in your favor. You can harness it to sharpen your message, refine your presence, and build an unbreakable mindset. You see, the first step is recognizing that fear, the shaking hands, the dry mouth, the racing heart. They're not weaknesses. They are data points screaming for attention. They tell you how deeply your mind believes in this fight. Use that. Channel it into focus. Control your breathing. Ground yourself in the now. And watch how your nervous system becomes your strongest ally instead of your greatest enemy. But it doesn't stop there. Beyond managing your own mind, you must become a master of understanding others. Investors are not machines. They are people wrapped in layers of bias, experience, hope, and fear. The genius founders train themselves to perceive the subtle signs, hesitation in their eyes, the way their fingers tap the table, the rhythm of their breathing. These are clues that tell you what's really running through their heads. Are they excited, skeptical, overwhelmed? You must become fluent in human signals, because your ability to read these shapes your response, which can calm concerns or fan sparks of enthusiasm. You learn to not only convey your passion, but to tailor it dynamically, switching from data-driven logic to storytelling magic, from fierce confidence to humble openness. The best fundraisers are shapeshifters with empathy at their core. Now, let's talk about something that cuts deeper than nerves or reading signals: rejection. The crushing, soul-shattering no that echoes in every founder's brain like a relentless drumbeat. Rejection is the most terrifying part, the moment when your confidence feels ripped apart and thrown into the void. But here's a radical truth. Rejection is your most powerful teacher. If you treat fundraising like an experiment, every no becomes a data point, not a verdict on your worth. You track the patterns, analyze feedback, and pivot like a scientist adjusting their variables. This means setting aside ego, stripping away fragile pride, and embracing failure as a crucible for learning. The founders who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who decode failure faster than anyone else, who get curious about the why, who thrive in the discomfort of not knowing. Don't just survive rejection. Extract wisdom from its sharp edges. Let each no sharpen your pitch, nail your positioning, and strengthen your resolve. But here's the brutal catch. You can't do this alone. The problem isn't just mastering your own psychology or reading investors. It's about connection, the kind that most fundraising ecosystems don't offer. You face isolation, surrounded by noise, diluted advice, and followers who mimic scripts without understanding the science behind them. You need a network, but not just any network. A web of rare individuals who think beyond the surface, who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who live by their own rules and ignite each other's fire. Impossible? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. Real progress comes not from blending in, but from standing out. Finding those few who see the world not as it is, but as it could be, and aligning your experiments with theirs. This is where true synergy breaks the walls of the system, where misaligned brilliance becomes unstoppable power. Investing your energy in this kind of network isn't a luxury. It's your survival strategy. Let's get practical, because knowing the theory alone won't get you across the finish line. Fundraising experiments must be designed with ruthless clarity. Start with your hypothesis. What do you want investors to believe? It's not just that your startup can make money. That's expected. It's why they should believe you above all others. Craft your vision like a story that rewires their brain's reward system, triggering emotional resonance and logical trust at the same time. Then, design the conditions around that story. The setting, the timing, even your outfits if you need to, tweaking every detail to reduce friction and maximize engagement. Your pitch deck is your lab notebook. Keep it simple, precise, provocative. Every slide, every word should test an assumption, provoke a reaction, and guide you toward your desired outcome. Then there's the experiment of building rapport. This is where the slow burn of human connection overtakes cold data and turns investors into partners. Don't just present, listen. Take moments to ask subtle questions, read answers beyond their words, and respond like a responsive algorithm tuned to their frequency. This co-creation draws them further into your world, making funding not a transaction, but a shared journey. Remember, science isn't static, it adapts. Fundraising requires the same agility. Your preparation is your hypothesis, but your pitching is iterative. Each meeting evolves your approach. Take detailed notes, record your emotions, analyze successes and failures relentlessly. Experiment with framing, with tone, with delivery. Over time, patterns emerge. The pitch that seemed flawless yesterday might feel hollow today if your mindset shifts. Continuous experimentation means you build a living, breathing fundraising strategy that grows with you and your startup. What about the disheartening moments when everything feels like chaos, when investors go dark, when no strategy seems to break through? Here's the raw truth. That's exactly when the psychological experiment works best. You're getting real-time data on endurance and adaptability. The founders who break through don't surrender. They dive deeper into the why behind every disconnect. They reframe silence as a signal, adjust their tactics, build resilience muscles that outlast burnout. This is no place for shortcuts or fantasy. It's a rigorous trial by fire where mental toughness is your most prized asset. You can cultivate it by treating every interaction as a chance to practice presence, self-regulation, and emotional control, not just with investors, but with yourself. Practice what science calls emotional granularity, naming exactly what you feel in those moments of pressure and choosing to respond instead of react. This precision is what separates those who fade from those who flare. And here is perhaps the most overlooked truth. Fundraising as a psychological experiment doesn't end with getting the money. The behavioral insights gained here shape your leadership, your company culture, your ability to scale. If you understood your own psyche and others so deeply through this process, imagine how you could craft a team that thrives on aligned values instead of hollow titles. How you could shape products that connect on a human level, not just a market level. Your experiment continues beyond the pitch, becoming a blueprint for disrupting every system that assumes you must conform to belong. Above all, never forget why this matters. Because at the end of the day, fundraising is about lifting your vision from the depths of your mind into reality. It is where hope meets strategy, where passion becomes leverage, where your fire either dies in silence or flares into something the world has never seen before. Approaching it as a psychological experiment isn't some clever trick, it's a revolution. It gives you the control you need when everything else feels out of your hands. It turns fear into insight, disconnection into alliance, chaos into clarity. If this feels intense, that's because it is. But this is exactly where the extraordinary is born, from embracing the raw messiness of human psychology and turning it into your greatest strength. So look closely at your next pitch, your next investor call. See it through the eyes of a scientist, a psychologist, a strategist who understands that success depends not on luck or charisma alone, but on mastering the invisible currents of human emotion and thought. You don't just ask for money. You craft an experience. You conduct an experiment. You create a spark of belief that anyone watching can't help but join. This mindset doesn't just raise funds. It raises you. It frees you. It reshapes what's possible in a world that desperately needs those willing to burn rather than bend. Because the system wants you timid, compliant, silent. But treating fundraising like a psychological experiment arms you with sovereignty, with purpose, with power. It's time to step out of the shadows of doubt and run your own lab, where every pitch is a test, every interaction a discovery, and every challenge a step closer to breaking free.